When looking at the experience of children who have immigrated to America, borders have caused them to experience a limited sense of belonging, dehumanization due to othering, and immigrant illegality. They are not perceived as citizens since they are undocumented and therefore don't have the same social and legal status as people who are recognized as citizens in the U.S. Children face immigrant illegality when they experience separation from their families in detention centers since immigration policies require Border Patrol to detain them. According to a 2019 House of Representatives report, under the Trump administration, at least 18 immigrants under 2 years old were separated from their parents at the border and kept apart for 20 days to half a year. Also, at least 241 separated children were held in detention centers for over 72 hours, which is the maximum time permitted by law. Lastly, many separated children were kept in government custody for extensive periods of time. About 679 were held for 46 to 75 days, more than 50 were held for 6 months to a year, and more than 25 were held for more than a year. The undocumented status that many immigrants possess limits their sense of belonging to the U.S. Joanna Dreby remarks that 68% of Latinos that responded to a survey feared the deportation of themselves or people close to them. She also mentions that the possibility of deportation negatively impacts children of Mexican immigrants because they fear the police, equate a stigma with immigration, and distance themselves from their heritage. Children of immigrants struggle with finding their identities because, while they have spent the majority of their lives in America, they were still born in other countries. This creates a divide when, as the children grow up, they can't obtain a driver's license or a job without a social security number. Children have talked about the gang violence they associate with their home countries and the juxtaposition between what living in America versus Mexico would be like, according to Gabrielle Oliveira. Washington Post reports that immigrant students score lower on standardized tests and report a lower sense of belonging at school than non-immigrant students. And even when students try to integrate, their health and well-being decline because of growing income inequality and ethnic discrimination. Immigration policies have elevated rates for extreme anxiety and social isolation in children and adolescents, especially with policies like DACA being in jeopardy. We need to start protecting the children of immigrants by making sure programs like DACA are safe and implementing policies to protect immigrants instead of dehumanizing them. Humanization and dehumanization both have the potential to provide answers to the ever-present question around what shapes the public attitudes towards undocumented immigrants. Dehumanization is expected to produce less political tolerance for undocumented immigrants, foster support for more restrictive immigration policies, and produce a more negative perception of undocumented immigrants overall. Children, who are often the most innocent, fall victim to this idea of dehumanization. Their lack of citizenship creates a divide between them and their peers. They find their identities criminalized, as often in public discourse we associate immigrant with criminal. A parent's agency and decision-making abilities are compromised by the structure they've fallen victim to. In the media, children are seen being ripped apart from their parents, trapped in cages, longing to be reunited with their families. Is this really something we can justify in order to keep our borders safe? To what extent should these children face the repercussions of their parents' decisions?